Happy Thursday and welcome to a special re-swizzleization of our LinkedIn live stream. Usually we do this on Fridays, but we're switching it up. Welcome to the Thursday edition. We've got some new people here, new audiences. I'm joined by two of the best, and we're going to talk about CDP. So good day, Melissa. How are you?
I'm great, Rick. How are you doing on this fine Thursday?
It's a little cloudy, rainy, but it's
Same here.
Not cold. I'll take it.
Warming up.
Yep. And Kirsten, good day as well to you.
Yes, happy Thursday, everybody. It's good to be back. It's been a while since I've been on the LinkedIn Live.
I know, me too.
So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I took some PTO. We had some other things, but we're back. And we're going to talk about something that's really intriguing here, our new continuous data protection. But we're going to do a twist, right? So Melissa, Kirsten, and I have schemed. I've got a Veeam challenge coin here. So we're going to be flipping the coin to see how some of this content goes. And we're really happy that all of you are here. But what we have to do, we have to light up the map. We haven't done the technical topics on a Thursday. So one of the things we need you to do, and I was waiting for more people to come in here, trick, let us know where you're from. Drop in your country here. And our marketing team has created the Mapplication, which will make the world lit up with all of your different countries that you're from. So just drop it in the LinkedIn chat there. We have India here. We've got some Ohio, some Jersey, and we've got the Georgia, Romania already on the line prepping up. But go ahead and drop us your country and we'll light it up. I think that's a great interaction mechanism that we've got. Welcome, Michael from Indiana. You're the first one I see on that list. Okay, so rules are pretty clear. Kirsten, Melissa, and even myself. There's two sides to this coin, but there's three of us. So we have to mix it up and we have to go with it. So we even prepared some slides for you today. So let's take a look at that. So we're going to get started with CDP. And so the three of us here, and by the way, Kirsten, Melissa, myself, you can bug us on Twitter, link in with us. We're going to talk about some stuff. So let's start, first of all, with a definition. And this will be our first coin toss. So I'm going to exclude myself from this. So this one's up for Melissa and Kirsten. Melissa, do you want the Texas logo or do you want the Veeam logo, Melissa?
I will take the Veeam logo, please.
Veeam logo. It is Veeam logo. So, Melissa.
All right. What is Veeam CDP? Now, if you've followed Veeam for any length of time, you've probably heard murmurings of CDP for a number of years now, right? But CDP is all about near zero RPOs, right? We're talking about RPOs measured in seconds, not even minutes, definitely not hours, seconds. And it's all about protecting those mission critical workloads and minimizing loss of data should something happen in your environment, right? So it's near zero RPOs, but the RTOs are extremely rapid as well because it is a special technology, but it works kind of similarly, at least when you configure it, to traditional Veeam replication, right? If you've ever configured a Veeam regular replica job, you're ready to set up CDP. So that replica is sitting over there in your secondary disaster recovery site, wherever it might be. And it's just a matter of powering it on and you're back in business. So super low RPOs and super low RTOs.
No, good stuff. And I think that that's a really good way to set it up. It's yet another way to have that protection. We have that kind of final floor view between backups, replicas, regular replication, that is, storage snapshots, and now CDP. So that's the use case, those super low RTOs and RPOs. But let's ask a question. And so, Melissa, you're off the hook. So it's now between me and Kirsten. Kirsten, do you pick Veeam logo or the state of Texas?
I'm going to go with Texas.
Go Texas. All right. It's Veeam logo. So that one's on me. Okay. So now, why use CDP? So that's the question I want to ask. And really is the drivers for change of why Veeam brings this capability to market really is that extra level of business continuity, meeting the expectations of the business. And I should also be really clear that this isn't the right solution for all workloads. Meaning, I think everything should have backups, right? Maybe regular replications, but the reality is this is for that tier one, those highest tier applications. If I were to cut it up into thirds. It's that, top half of the top third, that type of workload. But this is in a market and in a space where we have seen high cost, high complexity. And so what Veeam V11 has done here, and this is available now, by the way, we had this as part of our version 11 release, is the CDP engine that came in V11 really tries to address all of these different challenges, whether it's, getting the RTOs and the RPOs the way you want it, as well as getting, that complexity low. In fact, I like to say that, nothing in Veeam is more than like 7 clicks of a wizard. There might be one thing that's 8. But other than that, you get what I'm saying. And the thought here is that deploying a CDP policy is very easy to do. It starts with, having a proxy up in the mix, which is just a Windows service that will do the work and maintain a cache, and then some filters on the hosts, and then you start building policies. It's actually very easy to use. Now, the other side of that, in why we go into market with this technology, is to reduce the cost as well. And this is really, in my opinion, one of the most disruptive things that we've ever done. For our customers that are consuming Veeam with that universal license or the Enterprise Plus configuration, the beautiful thing is that this is included. Wow. It's really awesome. I think it's going to be a disruptor. We've had a great set of adoption here. So that's why you would want to use it, right? To get that and where you would want to use it. So those are a couple of intro, type environments. But since I talked about this one, now it's back to either Melissa or Kirsten. So Melissa, do you want to pick the Texas logo?
I'm going with the Veeam logo again, please.
Okay, Veeam logo again, sticking with good luck. Texas logo. Kirsten, you're up. Where can you use CDP?
So this is a diagram that is going to show you the CDP overview for VMware VMs. And you can see that it's a couple different components that are set up and that you need to set up before you're creating your CDP policies. So this includes your backup server, your source and target hosts, and also the VMware CDP proxies. So if you look at the cluster, you can actually see that there's a filter that is installed on the cluster. And this IO filter is built on the basis of the vSphere API for IO filtering. And this needs to be installed on each cluster where you want to use CDP. This is going to filter, it's going to read and process the IO operations in transit between the protected VMs and their underlying data stores. You're also going to see the source CDP proxy. And for many of you Veeam users, you probably already kind of understand the concept of a proxy. And this is really going to be, the data mover service for CDP. Next, on the backup server, you're going to see that you have the coordinator service. This is going to coordinate the replication and the data transfer tasks. So really going to control the process of, replicating over to your source, from your source cluster to your target cluster.
Yeah, good stuff. Good explanation. And this visualization is kind of nice and tight on how it would
Kirsten
be
and I worked hard on this one, right, Kirsten?
Yeah, you guys did good. Yeah,
we tried to make it as simple as we could for understanding purposes, just because sometimes with all those diagrams, there's a lot of, moving parts and a lot of different arrows going everywhere. So this is really a simplified version of, how Veeam, does its CDP.
Yeah, good stuff. And it does, I guess, highlight one thing, that it does predicate that it's VMware environments only, but that, Melissa wouldn't roll any other way.
That's not true.
Oh, okay. Maybe it used to be true. All right. So, Kirsten, you're off the hook. So it's back to Melissa and I. Melissa,
how about we take a break and look at our map first, Rick, and see who's actually tuning in today?
Oh, you're looking at the operations chat. Thank you for that. Let's switch over to the map application. And wow, we had a great number of people here. We have, let's see, South Africa. We've got Spain, UAE, Chile, Ireland, Czech, Honduras, Canada, or maybe that's California, North Dakota, Nigeria, Swiss, Jordan, Australia. Wow. That is some seriousness. I appreciate that. Lebanon, Morocco. Yeah, cool. Thank you so much here. Good representation in Africa And we've got, of course, India there. So we really appreciate you joining this. And yeah, Canada's so big. Maybe we should start putting provinces in, and like you got to, claim, Ontario or PEI, right? The funny thing, I'm one of the few like U.S. people that can name all of the provinces and territories in Canada.
Winnipeg. Yeah,
that's
anybody from Winnipeg?
Yeah, Winnipeg, represent. Hopefully that it's not as frozen there still right now. But anyways, Brian drops in a good question. Can you use a Linux proxy for the CDP capability? And Melissa, why don't you field that one?
Right now, it's a Windows-based proxy, but as you can tell, Veeam has been doing lots of Linux lovey type stuff. So I would say stay tuned on that.
Stay tuned, right? I mean, directionally, we've added proxies for other things over on the backup side for VMware. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right. So Melissa and Rick are up next.
Veeam logo. Give me the Veeam logo.
You're up for the Veeam logo. All right, let me flip it. Texas logo, not cheating. Back to me. So I want to ask this question. How do I use CDP? Well, the good news is, just like Kirsten explained, there's really a 3-step process. You can't build the policy, which is what you would actually use to set those RPOs of, say, 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 2 seconds. You can't use those until these first two things really have happened. One, the filter driver installed. So that would be the first thing you do. In Veeam world, you browse into the inventory, find that vSphere cluster, deploy the filters on each of the hosts, and then repeat that on the target. Now, you can actually do same site CDP if you would want to, right? If you want to consider things like hardware failure, cluster failure, it doesn't necessarily have to be off site, right? So again, that might be something where you could entertain definitely that 2-second RPO. So first thing, install the filter driver on the clusters. Second thing is configure the CDP proxies, right? So those CDP proxies, currently Windows, correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa, 16 gig of RAM, 8 CPU. And
yes, sir. Those are the minimum requirements.
That's because they do important stuff. And there's a disk cache requirement as well. And I have a link here that I'm going to show you here that's a very helpful.
What is it? 1 gig of cache for every disk processed?
That is
possibly
probably about-ish, right-ish, something like that. Yeah. And, one thing we'll say is that we have here on the last slide, we've got some takeaways.
Got some good resources.
Yeah, including the requirements, but we've got a secret weapon coming for you, and that's a workshop. So I'll come back to that. But anyways, configure these proxies. And, this will be something that for those of you who are, Trent asks, can I get one of those coins? Well, I do have 2 of these, Trent. Maybe send me a message, see what's up. You configure those proxies. One thing I'll say is that you can have if you have dedicated backup proxies and they have overhead in these requirements, they could be a candidate to be both. But generally speaking, you might want to take this type of deployment very specifically, is my takeaway. And then the third step is simply just deploy the CDP policy, configure a job. We do call it a policy inside of BNR. And the logic here is that you really can drive these RPOs and RTOs. And then there's this other dimension of what we call short-term retention, which is those 2-second RPOs. And then there's this longer-term retention, which is more of a window, right? So, and you can use these sliders to really drive some really specific recoveries. So
I have a funny story about setting up CDP. This was, I don't know, right after V11 came out, maybe a couple weeks later. I called Kirsten one afternoon. I'm like, Kirsten, I'm going to set up CDP. You want to get on Teams and take a look? So I'm like, yeah, well, let's do it together. And when we got on the phone, the first thing I did was kick off building just like some little Linux VM to protect with CDP because I need a new VM. So, of course, don't try this at home, but I didn't read any of the directions. I didn't read anything. I'm like, let's just go for it. And we had CDP configured before I had even finished, before, I hit deploy on the Linux VM. Before that Linux VM was even installed, we had CDP up and running. We were just waiting on the VM to be ready to protect. So it's super quick and easy. Yeah.
That's outstanding. All right. So cool. So these are the steps on how you get into it. And so I'm off the hook. It's now going to be back to Kirsten or
Veeam
Melissa.
Logo.
No, I'm letting Kirsten pick this time.
Veeam logo.
All right, Kirsten, what do you pick?
I'm good with staying with Texas.
You're good with Texas. All right, so
Yeah.
let's flip the Veeam coin. Ah, it's Texas. All right. So the next thing is, so Kirsten,
Oh, come on. This is not fair.
Where can you use and how the CDP technology, Kirsten?
So really, Veeam CDP can be used across Veeam's 3 core products. So you configure it, Veeam Backup and Replication. You monitor it with Veeam One. You can monitor, your CDP proxies, run reports to make sure you're meeting those SLAs. And then you can orchestrate it by creating CDP replica plans within Veeam Disaster Recovery. So all in all, you really have the whole package with these 3 products. Really streamlining disaster recovery and making sure you're minimizing data loss. Is there anything anybody else wants to add to the slide? Or
this is like my favorite slide about CDP ever, right? So I have a funny story about CDP, or a little pro tip, right? So I am a big fan of backup and replication, Veeam One, and Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator. I like them all. I do a lot with them all. But if you want to test CDP, and I get this, right? People are saying, okay, this is a new technology to Veeam. It's new to me. I don't want to just go deploy it in production, like with my mission critical VMs, and have at it. So let me teach you a really, really dirty trick. Go download. I know, right? Don't do this for production. This is for testing only and for your lab, so you can get comfortable with CDP before you deploy it. Go download your 30-day free trial of Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator. Now, I'm going to be teasing next week a little bit when we talk about 7 things you don't know about Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator. And one of those things is VDRO actually includes Veeam Backup and Replication and an Orchestrator edition of Veeam One along with it, right? So you're actually installing all 3 products when you deploy Orchestrator. Make sure that server has 8 CPUs and 16 gigs of RAM. Then follow Melissa's not to be used production and trick of deploy that server and make it your proxy and your VNR server and your Orchestrator server all in one, right? So use that embedded version of Veeam Backup and Replication to set up your CDP replica plans, and you install the filters on your vSphere host. And when you go to create your proxy, just select that VNR server and that Orchestrator server, right? So you kind of have this all in one thing. So then from a Veeam One perspective, Veeam One is really there as kind of like a translation layer for Orchestrator that kind of controls your inventory and maps it to business view groups or tags or however you're categorizing your environment, right? So then, but that basic version of Veeam One, you can actually monitor CDP with. So you're going to be looking at your SLA, your proxies, all that good stuff. And then finally, you can create an orchestration plan with Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator. Now, what's that going to give you is scheduled or on-demand failover of your CDP replicas with one amazing thing, a fully documented DR plan. Great for auditing, great for compliance. You're going to get a big long plan definition report that tells you everything about that VM, all the plan steps that you're going to use on that VM. We have a bunch of stuff out of the box where you can say, okay, this is a SQL server, check my SQL server. You can upload your custom scripts. You can pretty much make Orchestrator do whatever you want. And at the end of a failover, you get this document saying, okay, here's all my checkboxes. I did everything. It's green and we're good to go. So there's a lot of power in downloading that Orchestrator trial and using it to test out CDP. That's actually what I have running in my demo lab, right? So we have the PS lab. I have my environment set up that way. So whenever I do a demo, I'm doing this kind of cheating, not for production use, all in one installation because it's quick and easy and I can show all 3 products on a single server.
So great points there, Melissa. We got a couple of questions, and Edris, I'm going to get to your question on the next slide because you're in my head. I'm channeling your inner thirst for knowledge here. Lamberto said, can you briefly explain the practical differences between a short-term replica with BNR every few seconds and CDP, and is it possible to have it on a clustered VM? So first thing I'll say is Melissa and Kirsten both, I believe clustered VMs would not be supported, and if they are, you might have new problems. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can check, but I don't believe they are at this time.
Yeah, maybe if it's like maybe a SQL always on cluster with one node or something like that, but I'd have to check the requirements. Now the other bit, the short term, there's a short term, long term bit. So the best way to kind of understand this is there's this long-term retention, which is like regular replica restore points, say every 4 hours. But then there's this like, I want to call it a moving update zone of the 2-second RPOs or the 10-second RPOs. And that's a trail that's kind of goes with you in time. So a little bit of time space continuum.
Right. And when you go to recover, right, whether it be through Orchestrator or natively in backup and replication, you can actually pick that restore point, right? So I'm going to say, okay, I want to recover from a short-term restore point, but I need to go back an hour, right? It's not 2 seconds because something blew up or something happened and I need to go back 30 seconds. I need to go back 40 seconds. I actually need to go back an hour. Whatever you need to do, you can do, right? So there's a real lot of granularity in those restore points. And that's one of the reasons CDP is, I don't know if expensive is the right word, and I don't think resource intensive is the right word either. But obviously you need to keep more data than with a regular Veeam replica, right? Because you're keeping this restore point for 2 seconds over a 4-hour time period. So depending on the change rate of this application, and chances are if it's a mission critical app you're protecting this way, it's very talkative and you have a lot of data, right? You need to have space to keep all of that data. So that's important to note as well. So that's why it's a little more resource heavy.
Yeah, what would be the,
a little more
let's just say,
like what word should I use here?
I would go with
Let's coin a new phrase.
Infrastructure specific.
Infrastructure specific.
Yes.
Okay.
You have to be very prescribed about that.
Yeah,
Speaking of prescribed, I would like to bring that back up, the application, and we have some new locales. So a lot of great new places identified: Brazil, San Francisco, Mexico, Austria, Kashmir, Nicaragua. You know, I took a great vacation in Nicaragua. Lake Nicaragua there is like, I want to say it's either it's the 20th largest freshwater lake in the world. Beautiful place. Really enjoyed it. So thank you all for sharing these locations here. So Brazil, Chile is still representing, South Africa yet again. So really appreciate everyone attending here live. And we're going to go over, Eric asked one good question about what kind of bandwidth is needed for CDP. Good question, Eric. It's going to depend on your change.
It depends.
Yeah, the great reason to try it. Boom.
Right.
That's my answer. There. All right. So as we wrap up here, there's 3 takeaways that I want to highlight, and this aligns to Edris's question. So Edris, I've identified there is an incredible need here for, I don't want to call it hand holding, but just, some confidence building on the CDP, just because nobody's going to use this CDP engine for, a not important workload, right? We all agree with that. So I've asked literally probably our best trainer here at Veeam, who Rasmus Haslund, who does like the VMCE. He's a VMware trainer. He's just a nice person. But anyways, I've asked Raz Mataz I said, Raz, would you like to do a 75-minute end-to-end workshop on CDP? He's like, heck yeah. And then I also invited Tim Smith, one of our best architects, to kind of give his field perspective of what he's seeing from customers implementing it. And so my thought here is that this workshop, they're going to go end-to-end, deploy, set up a policy, fail something over, Edris, at Veeam at veeamon.com. You'll be able to attend this workshop. This is going to be one of the highlight experiences. And, one of the things we've learned about virtual events is that, demo intensive stuff works pretty good because, you have your screen and, you're not sitting 17 rows back type of thing. So Edris, I encourage you and the others watching this program as well to join us at Veeam for that. And, Melissa's got some CDP stuff twice.
Chris and I are actually doing a CDP session together where we're going to talk about how to use backup and replication, Veeam and Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator together for CDP. So we're going to do a little deeper dive on that.
It's like a trifecta.
It's a trifecta, yes.
Yes, indeed.
And then Kirsten's got a great demo session on Veeam, and I've got a demo session on Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator.
Right. That's an important thing to note. And so Veeam and you see the information here on the screen.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff there.
We, at any point in the agenda that's not the general session, there will always be a demo to consume. We again, we're refactoring how you would consume some of these events. And Kirsten, Melissa, myself, and others on my team are driving some of these demos. So hope to see you there. So yeah, check that out. All right. So there are other two links that I want to highlight here. Is that trial that Melissa spoke about. A great way to answer some of those questions that you might have. And then in the middle here, we have also the CDP requirements, right? I think that's also just go through it and understand what we're dealing with, because if you just throw it in, you may not have a good experience, but give it a look.
Me and Kirsten tried it and it wasn't that bad. It was pretty. Veeam backup and replication was very good at telling you what you weren't doing correctly. One example was, so I was trying to do it on nested vSphere hosts, and I didn't have enough RAM in the host I was going to use an orchestrator. Backup and replication was like, yeah, for CDP, you need a host with X amount of RAM, and you don't have it. Sorry. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
So I have the RAM.
Right. Good stuff. So it's very aware.
And it was like a really low number. It was because it was nested. I mean,
sure.
But any real host is going to have it.
You and your lab tricks, I'm telling you.
I should do a whole session on Melissa's dirty lab tricks.
Dirty lab tricks. Awesome. Well, hey, everyone. Thank you all for attending, and thank you all for dropping the locations on the map. We did a great job of lighting it up. CDP is a really important thing that we're taking very seriously here with this release recently, and we've got more stuff coming. So Monday, Jason and Dave are starting a new series, the Mid-Market Insights, where they're going to analyze some key data protection trends in the mid-market. And that's a 3-part series that kicks off in May. So you're going to want to tune into that right here on LinkedIn. And then Friday, Melissa, guess what? You and I are back. We're back. We're going to talk VDRO, the Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator.
7 things you don't know. And I probably told you a bunch today, but the good thing is there's like thousands of things. So I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, 7 plus. Let's just do that, 7 or more. So join us here on these LinkedIn shows, and you can always watch these content episodes either on LinkedIn or go deep over in the Veeam YouTube channel. So we really appreciate everyone. Thank you, everyone, for the comments. I'm looking over to them as I can, and I want to give a big thanks to Mark, our producer, and then Alina and the others in the global marketing team who help bring this content to you. So on behalf of the entire Veeam team, thanks for attending, and that concludes today's stream.